Hello, and welcome to my introduction to FoxOS SwiftSearch. SwiftSearch allows you to bypass endless menu browsing and window switching, especially useful for very large screens with high resolutions, as you would need to move your mouse a lot to navigate Unity that way. With SwiftSearch, you can simply search for what menu item you need. When you first import SwiftSearch, it will be within its own folder inside of plugins. To open SwiftSearch, you simply need to press its keyboard shortcut, by default Ctrl and space. Here you notice that it opens near the mouse by default. This can be changed in the Preferences window, the keyboard shortcut and various other settings too. Now, let's have a look at SwiftSearch. By default, it will show you several options as soon as it opens. These can be defined by you and rearranged later. Clicking anywhere on the screen will close SwiftSearch. You can also press the Escape key to do so. To select any of the options presented, you can simply click them. Or you can use your up and down arrow keys to navigate through the menu, and press the Enter key to select the highlighted options. Enough of that. Let's see what SwiftSearch really does. Instead of looking for and selecting any menu item, such as the editor settings found in Edit, Project Settings, Editor, like so, you can simply open SwiftSearch and search for Editor. There it is, Editor Settings. Hit Enter or click, and it will open the editor settings. You can do the same, for example, with the player settings or the input manager and any other menu that you will find up here. I mentioned earlier that when opening SwiftSearch, you will have some default options presented. These are set up using the alias system. To get the alias system, which is this window in the inspector over here, you can simply click the cogwheel up here. This will open up the CommandAliases in the inspector. Now it's called CommandAliases because each of these options here is a so-called command, which is in the scripting side of it. In the aliases, you can see that I have several aliases here set up that do not have an entry. On the right side, under Target, I have various different options selected, different commands, that is. For example, the first one here is Preferences, second one Player Settings, Editor Settings, Input Manager, Quit Unity. So if I open SwiftSearch, you will see that the options here and the order correspond to the aliases set up here currently. If you want, you can change the order of these by simply dragging and changing the order. So now Player Settings should be my first, and it is. On top of that, aliases have a second option, which is allowing you to enter an alternative way of selecting a certain command. In this case, I've set up the create cube command, and the alias is add cube, which means if I enter add cube, I will get a shortcut to the create cube command, and it created a cube. To set up an alias yourself, simply click the plus button on the bottom. This will copy the latest alias. You can enter any alias you like, click on the button, and select one of the many commands that are added currently. I want the text. So now if I search for reference, I will get the create text command as an option. To delete an alias, simply select it and click the minus button. That will remove it from the aliases. This will open the Preferences window, but instead of being a tool window as usual, it becomes a dockable window. So now you can dock it next to your inspector if you like, or somewhere else. This is of course different than opening it the usual way, which is going Edit, Preferences. You can see this is a non-dockable window. I cannot dock it here. If you open the build settings using SwiftSearch, it will also become a dockable window. Dockable windows opened using SwiftSearch will have the Fox icon at the top. Let me show you the preferences of SwiftSearch. When opening the Preferences window, it will open the SwiftSearch page by default. You can see that there are three different tabs up here: Behavior, Results, and Visual. These represent different settings you can set within SwiftSearch. Let's start with Behavior. The first option is Open at Mouse or Open at Window Center. By default, it's set to Open at Mouse. If I open SwiftSearch, it will open at the mouse. So wherever I go with my mouse, it will open there. If I change it to Open at Window Center and click, you notice that SwiftSearch opened here, which is not the center of preferences, but the center of the game view, because I clicked on the game view last. If I click on the project window and open SwiftSearch, it will be in the center of that. Or the lighting settings in this case, in the center of that. I prefer Open at Mouse, but feel free to change that. The second options are the key to open and the modifiers. You can select a key to open SwiftSearch, which is currently set to space. You may try different options, however not all of them seem to work, which I think is a way how Unity handles keys. And also you can use modifiers. I set it to control space by default, but you can just deselect control, which will become none. Now I can just click space, no control. I prefer control, so I don't mix up. In results, you have two options, which is show results and show hierarchy objects in results. The show results is the amount of options or commands shown in SwiftSearch. So this list will be limited to 40. I can increase this up to 200. For performance reason, I did not allow more than 200 because, frankly, if you're searching within 200 objects, then you're probably not searching properly. I prefer 40. It's a small number, not too big, and it works. The show hierarchy objects in results is an option you can turn off if you like. I like it on, however, you may have to turn it off later. What it allows you to do is simply search for a game object in your scene. So in this case, we have the main camera as the only object in my scene. If I open SwiftSearch and I search for main, well, I could spell, select main camera. And it will select the game object of the main camera in the hierarchy, showing its properties in the inspector. One drawback of this feature, however, is that SwiftSearch will get very slow once you have lots of objects in your hierarchy. And that's why this option is here, to turn off hierarchy objects in the results, and therefore don't clutter up SwiftSearch. The last option is the visuals, and here you can simply change the colors for SwiftSearch. So by default it's a dark gray with the orange highlights. You can change it using presets or manually change the two colors. There is currently no way of creating your own presets, but that will be included soon. The last feature of SwiftSearch is being able to add components to your game objects. If I select a game object and open SwiftSearch, I can simply search for add and then any component name, for example the line renderer, and it will get added to my game object. I can then search for add animation, for example, and it will add the animation component to the camera. If I have nothing selected and I try to add anything, you will notice that these are grayed out compared to the create cube option down here. That is because there is no game object selected to add a component to, and various other options, commands, will have that same behavior where they will get gray out when certain requirements are not met for this command to be executed. More on this will be in the next video, where I will talk about how to customize and add your own commands and how to make your own validation and simply go behind the scenes of SwiftSearch. Until then, have fun with SwiftSearch.